Welcome to Musicians Matters. We are having a critical conversation with ministers of music, basically in the Las Vegas area more specifically, but around the nation as well. Just talking about how to impact and to impart and to influence the kingdom of God and what it is that musicians and musical directors and ministers of music, what it is they bring to the table, why it is that they are necessary, and how they help the flow of service to go, and also the musical nuances that transpire in order to make an effective service. So we have several guests on here, and I'm going to allow all of them to introduce themselves, and then we'll dig further into the conversation. So here we go. Hello, hello, hello to everyone that is present. What's going on, Matt? Oh, hold on. I can't hear you, bro. Hold on one sec. Did you mute yourself still? Let's see. I still can't hear you. Yeah. Is your headphone jacked all the way plugged in, or your audio? It might be tripping. I know you can hear me. I can tell you can because you're talking. Yeah. Let's see. Hold on one second. I'm trying to think why your audio wouldn't work. Maybe the audio is tripping on your device, maybe or something. Yeah, I can tell. I know you on because you're not muted. So just trying to figure out how to get you working there. But Robert, you can go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody while we getting Matt's audio situated there.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
He's
love.
Okay, hold on one second. There we go.
Yes,
yes,
sir.
yes, sir.
Okay. So yeah, Matt, can we hear you still?
I'm
Let's see.
Bluff,
Bluff,
Arkansas, and Monticello,
Monticello.
and
My
my mother name
mother
was
name was
Sadie
Sadie
Swift
Swift
Johnson
Johnson
Okay.
Swift.
Okay.
Yes, and
Sadie
she was
Johnson
from
Swift.
From
Yes,
Mississippi.
sir.
Mississippi.
Yes, and a little bit about
And a little bit about
myself
myself
is that I attended Bishop College in
Bishop
Dallas,
College in
Texas,
Dallas, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
with a bachelor's degree in music education,
Oh wow.
and from there,
From there,
I was
I
drafted
was
in the
drafted in the
military.
military.
I joined the
I joined the
Air
Air
Force.
Force.
Spent 7 years
Spent
there. Was stationed
there.
at
Was stationed at
Caldwell Air
Caldwell
Base here
Air
in Fort
Base
Worth.
here in Fort Worth.
And from
And
there,
from
I
there, I
was attending
was in
University with a master's degree in music education.
Oh wow. Okay. So how
I
long have you
traveled the
been
world.
playing
I traveled
for?
the world.
Yeah, I traveled.
I traveled.
Oh wow. No, we still can't hear you, Matt. We still trying to figure out what's going on with your audio. So you might have to go in and it's like a tab that says audio or camera and mic and enable your microphone so we can hear what you're saying basically. So that might be the issue. It's fine. We'll work through it. It's no big deal. So Swift, I know that you are not a minister of music, but I know that I'm sure over your course and career that you've had opportunity to be a musical director. So can you enlighten us as to what it was that you did as a musical director during those opportunities where you had the chance to do so?
Kristen, in ministry music.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I was on the drums, I was productions.
Right.
I was holding his services.
Okay. Okay, sir. Everybody else is having technical issues right now, but we still gonna work through them, and hopefully everybody be able to be heard. Sir, I know that you're driving, but would you like to introduce yourself to us and how long you've been in ministry and all the things that you do regarding ministerial music work?
Well, Anthony Bolden. I've
Anthony
been.
Bolden.
I'm hearing an echo. Boy, I gotta
I've
get on
been.
the echo. I'm hearing of myself.
I'm hearing an echo. Boy, I gotta get on the echo. I'm hearing of myself.
Yeah.
I've been involved in music ministry since
I've been
late
involved
teens.
in music ministry since
I was just kind of
late
thrust into it and
teens.
said, "Here, start doing it."
I was just kind of thrust into it and says,
So
"Here, start doing it."
years ago, I taught
And
choir,
so,
I can't
years
sing.
ago, I taught choir,
but I can bring it out of
I
a
can't
singer. I
sing.
can make it come out of one.
but I can bring it out of a
so,
singer. I can make it come out of one.
I
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
that and just
so,
served as a musician in
I did that
capacity.
and just served as a musician
and
in
that's- In a
capacity.
nutshell, that's what
Um,
I've done over the years.
And that's, in a nutshell, that's what I've done over the years.
Okay. And I'm assuming you probably played the organ or something like that as an instrumentalist. So what instruments do you play? Just so everybody who doesn't know you would know. You know what I mean?
Keyboards and organ, and not necessarily in that order.
Keyboards and organ,
Yes, sir.
not necessarily in that order.
Okay. Do you prefer one or the other? You know what I mean? Some people have a preference. You know they.
Funny you should say that because see,
Funny you should say
I
that
started
because,
on
see,
organ and
I
moved to
started on
keyboard.
organ and moved to keyboard.
I'd like to do
Okay.
more keyboard
I'd like
than what
to
I
do
do.
more keyboard than what I do. So
Organ makes you a little more
organ
lazy
makes you a little bit more lazy, or
because you have
because you have
several
several
things
things
working
working at once.
Keyboard,
Right.
you
Keyboard,
have
you
to
have to
do
do
it
it
all.
all.
Okay. Yes, sir. No, that's definitely true. I know it's a lot more operating that you got to do. You changing all of the different pipes and what different functions are on the organ, and the tremolo, and the pedals, and doing all the stuff with your feet. And I mean, it's a lot more of a percussion instrument, in my opinion, than just the keyboard itself. And so, yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I've always been interested to learn how to play keys. And to continue to enhance, my musical abilities. I'm actually a drummer, so but you hear all of these parts, in your head when you're thinking about music or a song is being, you kind of hearing a melody in your head, and it's like I want to try to figure out how to get this out. So, yeah. So, go ahead, Matt. I think we can hear you now, Matt.
We good?
Yes, sir. God bless you.
Excellent. God bless. How you doing, man?
Good, man. Good to see you, bro. Yeah, so, and we got everybody else coming back in. Their signal seems to be strong. So hopefully it stays that way. But yeah, I know Matt from California Northwest Convocations, we was in the Bay Area together for years, on top of years, on top of years. So, for those of you who do not know who Matthew Banks is, I'm going to let him introduce himself as well. Because everybody else is kind of went around and introduced himself predominantly. So you got it, Matt.
Okay.
Okay.
My name is Matthew Banks. I am a minister of music. Play organ, play keys, teach parts, facilitate, and oversee the department of the church. So,
And you
True
done
Love Missionary Baptist Church.
You said you where?
True Love Missionary Baptist Church.
Nice. And how long have you been doing and facilitating and orchestrating and delegating and supervising and all the rest of the different components you do now? How long have you been doing that?
That kind of stuff probably been doing about, let me see, what year is this? So probably about 15 years.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
About 15.
And what's your favorite instrument? I mean, I know everybody kind of, organists and keyboard players kind of have their preference. So,
well, I guess it really depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
If we at the convocation and it's like we need to go to church, then organ.
Right.
But if we at a wedding, or it could be keys. So it just really depends on the situation.
Okay, definitely. Now, do you play drums too?
I do.
So what made you transition from drums to keys? Like,
Well, there was too many drummers growing up. You know what I'm saying? There was too many drummers. Everybody played drums growing up. My boy Curtis. We just had too many drummers. You know, I grew up with VT. Great group. So back in them days, it was like Hannibal, Reggie, Curtis, Thomas. So everybody was drummers. I was like, you know, we just go ahead and play organ. And we just do it like that.
Yeah.
So
that was back in the day when it was like 15 drummers that had to rotate in one church. Now you could barely find 2 in the same church. It's crazy, man. Like it's a whole different ballgame than when we was growing up as kids in Kojic and you know that type of thing. So
you used to be like, who gonna play for Offering?
Right, Offering was the one. Everybody was fighting for Offering, like every service. It was crazy. But yeah, man, no, that's on point. So you've been at it for 5 years.
15,
and I know, or 15, excuse me. But you've been doing it for a long time. So I know with everybody else that's here, what is it that keeps you playing? What is it that keeps you going to continue to do, you know, ministry and music, right? Armani talking about good days, LOL. But yeah, what is it that keeps you wanting to come back to do this work of the ministry? It's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. You know, so what is it that keeps you going and keeps you, you know, I don't want to say motivated, but what keeps you basically influenced to continue to pursue God through music? You know what I mean? Especially during these times. So whoever wants to go first is fine.
Well,
okay.
For me,
yeah,
it's about passion. You know what I'm saying? I dig passion and perfection in music. I like for things to be a certain way. I like excellence. I believe in the details of the music ministry, vocally and instrumentally.
Right.
So, and I like for things to be right. That's me.
Yeah, I get it. Anybody else?
When this whole pandemic, how did this atmosphere change your life, basically?
So you asking about the pandemic and how it changed people's lives?
No, I'm talking about the music career. That's what I'm.
Oh yeah. How did the pandemic affect people's music careers? I got you. What about you, Robert?
What really affects me that I try my best to use different like we're now meeting in the parking lot at the church,
right?
And it's a good way to serve.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I definitely understand what you mean when you say, you know, that it's been a change. It's been a drastic change for a lot of people. And especially like being an instrumentalist, you know, sometimes not being able to have access to some of the same places that you would have, you know, like one of the places for me was, you know, like Guitar Center shut down. So you couldn't buy gear at one point in time. And you know, there was just so many different elements that you had to adjust to during this period. And so if you didn't have your instrument at home to be available or able to play, you know, like a lot of the studios were shut down and things of that nature where you'd be able to go and practice. So I think the church was like one of the only spaces available really where you kind of had keys or a safe place to practice outside the home. Right. So, but yeah, anybody else? Anthony, what about you, sir? How has the pandemic affected you and what you do musically?
The only effect that the pandemic had is just allowed you to play less in venues.
Yeah.
But I'm one who believes that nothing affects your life more, and I mean this in every way, than how you think. That'll have a greater effect on what you do than anything.
Yeah.
In this pandemic, the people who do well are those who recognize the problem and learn how to adjust. That's how you do well. So now, particularly in our ministry, we never stopped the ministry. The music ministry still went forth, just online, but we never stopped.
Okay.
Another perspective to consider with this pandemic, if you weren't allowed to play in churches, they gave you more time to practice at home.
Absolutely.
Abraham Lincoln said, if I had only 8 hours to cut down the tree, I'd spend the first 5 sharpening my axe.
Yeah.
So the pandemic in itself is real, and I don't want to downplay that in any way.
Right.
But what you do about it is what makes the biggest difference.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I have to agree 150,000% with that because, I mean, the reality is like, I'm a musician right now, and I learned how to use this particular platform. I've been able to actually serve other churches in helping to build their live streams, and helping them to like coordinate their videography or different things of that nature, so that can be on point. So I basically took that same perspective of like, okay, well, I'm good at my craft, right? I can play the drums, right? But at the end of the day, like, who else am I impacting when I'm doing that? And so for me, it became a thing to where it's like, well, what would be more impactful? Like me playing, or me like me helping other people with their video content and leveling that up to where they will be able to do something greater on a greater scale. So I did both. So yeah, so it's go ahead, Matt.
I would definitely say that from a ministry standpoint, the pandemic caused everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. The pandemic pretty much caused everyone to step it up. Now, instead of worrying about people coming, people come in, it's sporadic. Everybody's here because it's living room. We right here. So everything has to be, sound has to be right. Everything has to be right on point. You know what I'm saying? It caused praise teams to get better and try different things. Cause you have to reassess your visual and how things look behind you, how everything is, introductions and just everything. So that was the biggest thing I've taken away from it. It's just like step it up, especially because it looks like this is going to be like this for a good while.
Definitely, I have to agree. I mean, it's man, all the production side, which is kind of a taboo word in church because people don't like to use it. Like, this is supposed to be free flowing and spirit filled, and it's like, hey, but there's a level of order that has to be executed on a weekly basis so that things will flow properly, right? So I think now people understand like the importance of having something that looks a certain way, that sounds a certain way, and that feels a certain way, because all of that is what you're doing to try to captivate those and who you call to serve. And so, yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying, so, but yeah, so as far as like, how important is reading music as a musical director? I think I asked that question.
Who wants to go first?
I don't know. Everybody looking at me. Okay, sure.
Reading music, if music is going to be your profession, what you do not only for a living, but your life purpose, then all the more reason you should be a reader, because you'll never be without work if you're a reader, because most of the professional venues on a larger scale, reading is essential. So it just depends on the extent of which you want to carry your music. But if it is what you plan to do as a life purpose, all the more reason you should be a reader.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anybody else?
Well, can you hear me? I have to make sure because this thing be tripping. All right. I would say definitely it's definitely an added piece to the gift. Being able to read music is great, but it's good to have both, because there's a lot of people that can read music but lack feel, you know what I'm saying, and real interpretation. You see this, but you lack, energy and feel. So I think that reading music is definitely a helpful tool, you know what I'm saying? But I've heard people play Celine Dion music, because she does all her stuff, or a lot of her stuff, I should say, through read music. But the thing about it is, if you have that feel and that sound, and you could just execute the stuff, then you able to pull it off. Like she hired somebody that was just able to, give her what she was looking for, basically. So, and then especially if we talking about church too, it depends on the church that you at too. That's another thing. You're talking about church, it depends on the church you at. If you at a church where they dealing heavy in like hymns and stuff like that, then yeah. And then learn your hymns. That's another thing. Learn your hymns.
Mm-hmm.
If they're dealing in hymns, all hail the power of Jesus' name and stuff like that, it's good to know that. But if you don't know it, it will be helpful to be able to read it. That way you'll never get caught off guard. So I understand. I can definitely see how it can be beneficial. If you grew up Kojic, you probably already know them hymns. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing.
I might want to add, I can sight read. However, I'm much slower than someone who has been professionally trained and they're dedicated their life to it. So I support pretty much everything that Matt says. And by the way, I think he's an excellent musician as well. So reading does have a place, and I like how he put it.
What about you, Robert? How do you feel about the importance of being able to read music?
Music is very important. Church playing Mark gave me a sign, and we do it like what I used to do on my keyboard. I use sound and give them a sense of grandeur, give them a sense of
He's having a couple of reception glitches, so we'll work through it. But yeah, here he is. But yeah, for me, like as a drummer, I think it's extremely impactful. What about you? What about you, Sultan? What you think about reading? What you feeling about? Do you think reading is extremely impactful? Yeah.
So I did to read the music. I was taught by one of the best drummers in the world. She taught me how to read music. And that does help.
Yes, sir. Now I know for me, like, why do you all feel like churches don't require musicians to read? Period. Why do you think that is? You understand what I'm saying? Like, because I think if reading was more of a requirement for everyone, then it would kind of give you opportunities that you otherwise wouldn't have just by being able to play by ear. You know what I mean? So why, what's your take on that whole, understanding? You know what I'm saying? As far as like why churches wouldn't require reading to be a part of the kind of curriculum, if you will.
Basically, like as far as musicians these days just come in there basically for if you call it with knowing your craft, knowing what the song is supposed to be done, then you won't have any problems.
Right.
Can I say something on that?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
As far as churches requiring reading,
yeah,
I certainly hope they never do that. Because there is the letter of the law and there's the spirit of the law.
Okay.
The reading music is the letter, but it lacks expression.
Okay.
And in churches, the spirit needs to rule more than the writing.
Okay. I respect that.
A lot of it is cultural.
Yeah.
Because if you go to certain ministries on a broader scale, and then a lot of the CCM, they do require you to be able to read music.
Right.
You know what I mean? They usually hire the people that minister music, got a bachelor or master's in music, stuff like that. But then, and that was probably more like years ago. Years ago, it was like that. They was all playing the guitar and stuff like that, and everything it was all easy stuff. But for whatever reason, they wanted everybody to be able to read music.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But then you come to, where we from, a lot of it is based on, like you said, expression and feeling. And it's just like somebody starts singing, I don't know what you come to do. You ain't gonna have time to flip. I don't even know if that's in the like, somebody go, ain't no words for that. Ain't no
right, like what? You can't chart that. Right. I get it.
Or you out.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So
no, I understand. Yeah. So you saying the aspect of like the spontaneousness of the moment, that can't per se be calculated, right? Then those are the moments where your feel and what you know to play and what you know to do, like, will impact the sound and the performance basically at the end of the day.
Right.
And so I get it totally. Like and then you have those moments where like, you have what I like to call mixed signals, where it is that one moment somebody on the instrument, that might be the person who's the MD or whatever, they might feel like it's a worship moment, but everybody else in the room know it's time to shout. So it's like, hey, like somebody got to be able to push that kind of envelope. Like, hey, come on, let's do it. Like let's be on one accord in this moment, versus having kind of that. Okay, let's bring it down. So you know how they used to do in coaching? It used to be that yes. That yes was always like, that was always going to be the barometer that was going to let you know, like, no, we ready. Okay, we through with that moment right now. And sometimes it'd be like, man, like, come on, like, we want you to just, let's go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we here now. Like, so,
Shout,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you.
Somebody, Bishop Hamilton, yeah. Like, oh, yeah.
It's like, come on, like, are you serious? Like, but it's just, you just have to like play accordingly, and just kind of, those are some of the moments though. You just be ready to throw your sticks or just throw a cymbal. It's like, dude, come on, like, but that's also a part of the aspect of things not being able to be calculated in those moments, right? Because you see what I'm saying. So it's like you can't really predetermine that moment. It's not anything you will be able to know beforehand to, and don't get me wrong, like preparation is key. So it's like because those moments are potentially going to be there, right? You can have the way that you want that moment to sound or to be locked in, but it's just different when you're doing charts versus just like practicing being prepared for making sure your sound is on point. I think it's a distinction. You know what I mean? So
in terms of following the spirit and stuff like that,
right.
It's important for us as minstrels not to miss moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are certain moments that happen in the service that you oftentimes you can't get back. But that moment is the time where somebody's deliverance is at stake, or somebody's life. You know, when people come to church with, all kind of stuff going on in their life. And it's like, we need to maximize those moments.
Absolutely.
And be able to tell where to go, when to go. We got to be in tune.
Right.
So.
Speaking of that, that's what I was getting ready to get to. Back in the pastor, how do we get into that situation where how do you approach it? This is one of the main things that I like is to get back in that pastor.
Okay.
What did he?
So he's saying regarding backing the pastor up, like, you know, how do you
do something? How do they back the pastor up?
yeah, like how do you back the pastor up effectively? You know what I'm saying? Like, because you know, it's some people who clash with a preacher trying to overdo it, right? You're trying to overdo it. Yeah. So it's like how do you accurately back up a preacher is what he's asking. So
okay. Reverend Bowman, you gonna answer that, sir? give your thoughts, man.
Let's see.
Oh, he might not be able to hear me.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he can hear you because he's driving right now. Oh, there you go. There you go.
What was that?
No, they saying how do you?
Somebody asked me.
Yeah. How do you effectively back up a preacher when they're hooping?
Practice.
Okay.
See, I was simple. Right.
He's like, it's done.
Absolutely. So
you do it enough times, you learn how to do it.
Okay.
Yep. I would definitely say
because if you don't have it right, they'll let you know.
Right.
And then watching others who sees the dead is another good way to learn.
Okay. Because I know one of the biggest deals with backing up a preacher is timing, right? So it's knowing how to not play in front of the person, but it's knowing how to play like at the proper moment. So you're not like rushing their cadence, or you not like prematurely playing a note, you know, and they might decide to go somewhere else. So it's kind of a level of like melodic anticipation in my mind. Like you kind of know beforehand that they typically are going to go here, so you kind of know what to play, kind of around, but it ain't like a guaranteed thing. So you know what I'm saying, like but the more experience you have, like he said, like it makes it easier. You know what I mean? So
the two most important elements of being able to follow a preacher, is tone and rhythm. I would say paying attention. You're looking. Tone and rhythm. With tone, you know if he starts out, you know that's F sharp. You know what I'm saying? You able to just go right there, and then you maximize the rhythm part is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then just filling in where you can in between him talking. Do not play while he's talking.
You're right. Right.
So now we battle. Yeah. So that's what it is.
What was you going to say, Soul Tone?
Give me some more, Matthew.
So somebody like, you know, just being able to follow. Then if he goes up, it's very important that you're paying attention. Stay in service too, so that when he's ready, you're able to just go for it. It'd be the little stuff that I think that musicians. You still there? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
I think it's the little stuff that we miss. We're able to play a lot of times and fill in. Learning that stuff is easy, but it'd be the practical stuff like paying attention and staying in service long enough to be able to follow what to follow where he's going and be able to discern in the spirit where it needs to go afterwards. Because after he's done preaching, now we got to get to, you know, an altar call or, you know, whatever. So he's got to be in tune. It's a whole lot of things you got to be able to do, but you got to be in service and tuned in to be able to go where you need to go. So
I definitely have to agree. You know, it was funny, man. Like I seen a meme the other day, like it showed this track team, they were running back, they were like running all behind one another. and the caption was when the preacher gets ready to say, "I'm about to close," and it was like everybody, it was like 10 people running basically to the stage essentially, because they outside during the preaching time. So, why is it that musicians like to sit outside when the preaching time comes? What is that? What is that? Is it a thing of like? Is it a thing of you know, you don't want to hear the word, or do you feel like you need a break, or what? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is that? Because I never understood it as a child. Like, I feel like it was better for me to stay in church because you just never knew when something was gonna happen, or you might be needed, or whatever. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, you on the drums or on the keys or whatever for 2-3 hours straight, and then the preacher get up. Well, you might want to stretch your legs, or you might want to, you know, sit down on the bench because that's gonna be more comfortable than the organ bench or whatever. Or you got to just, you know, use the restroom or something. But otherwise, like, what, you know, I mean, I know cats used to go to the store, they go to the house, come back. It'd be like, bro, what's going, like, what are we doing? Like, what's, like, you know what I'm saying? So, unless it's like an anniversary Sunday and you got to bring the chicken back for the, you know, whatever, that's different. But, like, you know, you just outside every Sunday, you stand in front of the church for 45 minutes to an hour. What's happening in that? Like, what is that about?
It's so disrespectful. By me coming from the old school church, Vegas Church, Chicago Christ. Shout out to Superintendent Parson.
Yeah.
How it says in the Bible, train the child in the way it should go, he shall not depart from.
Mm-hmm.
They would not allow that. You got to be in the church service at all times.
Yeah.
Or you will be rebuked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, for me, it was like I said, it's just something I never quite understood. So I was just curious, like maybe somebody else knows something I don't. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
But
there's
I don't know.
Probably a few different components to it.
Right.
If we could talk honestly,
yeah.
about things, you know,
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about it.
A lot of times, you know, some pastors, you'd be like, man, you know, you sit there, you listen to, you realize that you didn't heard this message 15 of the times, and that this preacher, he's just doing, you know, he's doing like whatever. So we could pretty much tell they could tell what's getting ready to happen because you didn't did it for 2 years prior. So it's like, yeah, we already know where this is going. I still got time to go get that chicken. You know what I'm saying? I still got time. I can go to the store and get me some grape soda and some Now and Laters. You know what I'm saying? And be back before he ready to go. Yeah, so it's like, I think that's what really be one half of it. The other half of it, like when you got a good preacher that actually has the word, you know what I'm saying? I think people just be so used to, because it's easy to get caught up into going to the store and stuff like that and doing that. So then when a good preacher comes in, you know, a lot of times you like, because, you know, these other preachers ain't doing what they doing. So you be ready to go to the store and you miss something because y'all had a guest speaker or somebody who can actually preach come into your church, and now, you know, you looking crazy. You know what I'm saying? So that's happened a bunch of times. I was thinking, I'm speaking from experience as a young man. Man, I was the first one. I was the first one. I'm finna go to the store. When you start talking convocation, you know, the only reason I didn't go to the store then a lot of time was because the walk from the organ to the stove was too hard.
Dude, you was gonna be in trouble. Listen.
Right.
Because they looking over there like, where's Brother Banks at? You know, it's always, you know, man, like, I mean, even going to the restroom at convocation was just like, bro, it was just, you was about walking a mile just to do that. I mean, so it was it was like, man, like, dude.
From the bottom, so what I started doing, because you remember they had that door in the back.
Yep.
I started taking that side door and going all the way there. Then you miss everybody talking to you. Praise the Lord, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what it was.
That back interest, yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. But no, I mean, it's Man, I mean, growing up in church, man, you learned a lot of different things. I mean, and one of the things I always thought was cool was like there was always an opportunity for you to be around people to see solid examples of what a musical director was.
Right.
So that when your opportunity came to have to be the individual in the forefront, like it wasn't as difficult of a transition. So one of the things for me was literally the aspect that it was just like a place and a space where like even when I had to do it professionally, it wasn't complicated. It was like I knew exactly what to do as a musical director, even as a drummer, because I understood like how to operate and how to basically voice like what needed to be done on each instrument. You know what I'm saying? So it made it way easier being in church and being somebody who did pay attention, right? Like I even learned stuff like, a lot of times if the person on the organ, they may not know the song. So you got to be able to guide them through the song to be able to help them, even though you're on the drums, right? So it's you like giving cues, like to say, hey, dun 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 dun. Like you might not know, and if you know your numbers, it even help even more, right? So like if you know the number system, so you could tell them, hey, it's an A flat. You playing basically the 2-5-1 progression. You're gonna be doing we ain't doing no 7-6 flat 2. To the 3 and all this other crazy stuff that people be doing. We don't need to do none of that. But the point is if you know how to articulate that stuff because you're in church long enough, it helps when you on gigs, especially like secular gigs, because everybody don't always come prepared. People be high out of their mind. So they forget stuff. And so you gotta be on point to make sure everybody got their parts. And I also feel like it gets you callbacks because you actually know the material. Right? So like I promise you, there are 2 things in the musician world that if you do right, you will get a callback. It is if you know the music and if you show up on time. Now the rest of it is totally, it's totally erroneous. Some people build better relationships. Some people don't talk as much. Some people, they don't like their cologne. We don't know. But people just do weird stuff about who they want to call back. But the point is if you do those 2 things, 9 times out of 10, you will relatively get a call back. Now, if you cussing the people out and acting a fool and tripping, that's a whole nother level of ministry. But,
depends on,
it just depends. That's what I'm saying. So it just all depends, right? Because, some people, like, they like all that wild and crazy and whatever. And then other people is like, no, they want somebody mild-mannered and they want somebody clean-cut and they want, it just all depends. But at the end of the day, like, if you can be on time and you know your material, if you prepared and you punctual, I mean, it'll be a good amount of time that you'll get a call back. You know what I'm saying? Or you'll end up subbing for people, and then that sub turns into a relationship, and then blah 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 blah. So you just never know. But when we're talking about that, Swift, do you have any more questions you want to ask before I ask any questions? I mean, because I know you sitting back, you chilling. You got your 49ers gear on and stuff, but I just wanted to know, you know what I'm saying? Go Vikings. But I'm just saying, like,
you petty.
You know me, I'm crazy. But no, seriously, like, do you have any questions or any comments that you want to share, about your experience in church and what you have done? I mean, as an elder statesman, you know what I'm saying? So,
I'm a comment right now. I'm just thankful for all my brothers that's on this panel right now.
Mm-hmm.
God bless you guys. I had opportunity to play with everybody but one. That's my cousin. And I will be playing with him soon.
Sure. That's what's up. And I know you was telling me you was working on your chops and stuff. I mean, but the thing is like, you ain't showed me nothing. And so, we got to talk about that offline because, I got a problem. And so look at, look, Matthew. No, you can't back up the preacher right now. We need you to, we need you to chill.
You want to chop right now?
No, I'm saying it's cool. We'll do it later.
You sure?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something.
I'm gonna message you.
I've been knowing you, man, since you was young, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, bro. Like it's so crazy. Like it's so crazy. Like how people move and people transition and like you never know where people is at. Right. But yeah, bro. Like it's I ain't up to nothing. I'm just doing ministry. Just I mean, doing what we always did, man. Just trying to stay on point, be a solid musician, take care, our family dynamics, bro, and just continue to do what God's telling us to do at the end of the day. I mean, it's crazy, bro, because now I'm like preaching and doing some other stuff in ministry in general that I never thought I would be doing. I was trying to play drums for like Beyonce or somebody, but you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, cool, I got my training in church. I'm trying to be on the big stage and tour. I ain't trying to do nothing else. And none of that happened, right? So in that way, right? So I got accepted to Berklee College of Music to play drums. I didn't get a scholarship though. So that was $250,000 over a 4-year period. It was like, so yeah, we're not doing that. So, you know what I'm saying? It was it was like, hey, my family ain't got it. Like, there ain't no point in me sitting up here trying to be mad and irritated and frustrated. No, like, it's cool. I just had to make the adjustments, right? But in making those adjustments, like, I think it was better for me not to go because I probably would have been wilding. I had never been away from home. You know what I'm saying? And it was just a lot of factors, like being a musician in a whole nother state. When they get cold, they really get cold in Boston. So that was a whole nother thing. And when you can play, you attract certain individuals, right? So they like, okay, well, let me see what you about, right? And so like it's for me, I always counted it just a blessing and a privilege, bro, like to just maintain like who God was and just do my best to be on point as I could be. You know what I'm saying? So but yeah, man, it's good to see you, bro, for real.
You too, man.
It's just a lot of memories. You know what I'm saying? So
you came
a lot of memories.
Right. You came from a very rich musical family yourself, brother.
Yeah, exactly.
You know and so a lot of those lessons that we learned in church, that I learned in church, coming up, you know what I'm saying, came up under people like Bobby Lyons. You know
right.
Your
My grandfather. Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Your mother, Frida, who be killing. Killing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She played, sang, all that.
Yep.
So yeah, these are things, good things to learn. Good things to learn. Music is a very important and driving force in ministry. So
yeah, absolutely.
That we all got to be on point and doing what we're supposed to do.
Yep. No, I 100% agree, man. And I'm just grateful to help out Unc, with doing these live broadcasts, kind of video podcasts, if you will. And just to talk about like the importance of ministry, like outside of preaching. I feel like everybody's talking about preaching and everybody's talking about all this other stuff, but it's like it's not a lot of people dealing with the other aspects of what church and ministry is. Like drummers and ministers of music and musical directors and just building all these different people in, keyboard players and instrumentalists and producers and you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like we need to have more conversations like this because it helps to bring an impact to people just knowing like, hey, there are other aspects to God outside of just like the preaching aspect. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
And it's just cool to just see people you ain't seen in a minute, just know that they good, like even during the pandemic, because man, it's crazy. You hear crazy news like all the time. So it's about people passing away or people getting sick or whatever the case may be. So yeah, man, to know that everybody around the nation is doing cool, I mean, it's a blessing and a privilege, man. So
Yes, sir.
but yeah, but yeah, next time when I come back to Vegas, we'll have to get together and do a shed or something.
For sure, man.
For all time's sake, you know what I'm saying? So
For real. So you still in Oakland?
yeah, I still live in Oakland. Yep.
Dope.
But I did a couple of gigs that way, like for like 3-4 months straight.
Okay.
I did a hit with Armani. We did a hit with Dave Hollister at Cork and Thorn and some other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's I've been maneuvering, and then I also did some stuff with them at Amplify Worship.
Right.
I did the recording that they did at 11th Street Studios. So I mean, yeah, I've been praise God for the work. Because listen, man, look, my church shut down. So the church I was at, the musical department was donezo. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, okay, well, let's figure it out. You know what I'm saying? We back to the grind. I mean, it ain't like it never left me because I was always maneuvering, but it's just, I was one of those musicians who didn't have that luxury of being able to play every Sunday.
Right.
So, you know, now I was able to practice at the crib because I got my drums in my room, so it don't matter to me, and nobody lives above me. Somebody just moved downstairs, so it's like, okay, well, I just put a little rug on the floor or something, I'm good. But you know, everybody didn't have the luxury, you know. So out here we got like Soundwave studios and stuff like that where you can go and practice and do sheds, and that was all shut down at one point. So California is a lot different than other places around the country, just because of how the spread is going and things of that nature. So, but yeah, man, it's man, look, God is good, bro. I'm just, you know, we just here, man. That's it. That's it, man. So, what'd you say?
I'm asking Cousin Robert he can play like on the CD.
Oh, he was saying, do you have a CD you could play, Cousin Robert? Yeah, I think his reception is still kind of tripping out. Yeah, see.
All right, so Matthew. Still
Yes,
a
sir.
song.
He wants you to do a song.
When we do a song? Okay.
And while you getting ready to do your song, we're gonna do a little commercial, and then we'll be ready for your song. All right?
All right.
For sure.
Yes, sir.
You got it, Matt?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Okay. I'm gonna do a quick version of Great Is Thy Faithfulness.
Okay.
There we go. Dom, you remember at the end, you be in a full-fledged shout. Be like, let the church say yeah. Oh.
Come on, Doc, play that organ, Doc. Woo!
I just went off into another song, Just messing around. You know what that is, Dom?
Yep. Thank you, Lord. Yep.
Yes,
See,
sir.
you could loop that in and, just put a groove behind it. We'd be all right. Listen. But, in church, we learn those, man, look, those I call them carry-outs. Listen, where you start playing whatever that chorus or that melody is, and you just build a groove around it or whatever. Man, that's what we grew up on. So, but no, man, I'm grateful to be here and grateful to have done this interview with everybody today. And yeah, man, let's just continue to grow and continue to expand, man. And yeah, man, I'm just excited for what we're going to continue to do and the people we're going to interview in the coming days, and all the relationships we'll be able to foster. I wish Nam was still going to be here so I could see everybody in person and hang out, but man, we got to wait another year for that. So,
Right.
But yeah, Ankh, you want to close us out?
2 weeks, we're going to have Chick Corea drummer. Heard of him?
Yep.
We have Bruce Shear. And we're going to have some other drummers that's going to be there. It's going to be awesome.
Yes, sir.
Dope.
Yes, sir. Well, yeah, man, we're gonna log out of here, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity again to be able to serve you, my Uncle Soul Tone, even though my company is Tona, praise the Lord, amen. But we'll talk about that another day. Woo! But yeah, no. So I'm always starting with somebody, especially with that. So, but yeah, no, man, I'm just grateful again. Good to see you, Matt. And yeah, man, we'll have to do it again, and we'll get a camera on your hands while you playing the organ, so we could so I could steal some chords. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, God bless everybody, and have a blessed one, and we're gonna log out of here. All right, y'all. Peace.
Thank you, little bro, man.
Yes, sir.
No problem. Thank you.
My name is Dominique Campbell. I'm a local Bay Area musician and born and raised in Oakland, California. And when the pandemic hit, 70% of my income walked right out of the front door. I just recently had a friend that passed away. I mean, near and dear to me, which is a great sound engineer. And I recently saw on Facebook that literally he had to have a GoFundMe for his funeral expenses. And the crazy part is it's not even an uncommon thing for that to be the case with musicians in general. And I wanted to figure out how to change that, right? I wanted to figure out how to put musicians in a seat of power when it came to their finances, to put together financial game plans that would help musicians in understanding what to do and how to build and how to accumulate wealth, so that when we are no longer here, and while we are still here, if something happens to where we can't play any longer, or whatever the case may be, that we have what's necessary in building a solid financial situation in order for us to be able to retire effectively and to take care of our families. So in that, let's have a conversation. Feel free to contact me at 510-210-1300. I think it'll be great if you have a conversation with me and we can build a plan together.